when we were making £50 a day, we could have never foreseen that like I would go on to be on The Apprentice. We would have expanded our store within a year and a half. We would have turned over 7 figures. It was unfathomable.
This is Amber Rose. She went on The Apprentice, got fired on national TV, and somehow ended up building not one, but 2 multi-million-pound businesses. One, a viral Asian convenience store, raking in millions with snacks and drinks you didn't even know existed. The other, a bubble tea chain that literally broke TikTok. But here's where it gets crazy.
First month that we opened our store, we got broken into. It felt earth-shattering at the time.
Most people would have shut it down. Most people would have given up. Not Amber. Let's just say she flipped it.
I remember just thinking of the situation with the lens of like, if I film this and show people what's actually happening, I wonder what their reaction will be.
Turned the chaos into content, posted the story online, and TikTok erupted. Millions of views, lines of customers, 2 businesses, and an empire in the making.
Every single business is saturated. Every business is done, so don't let that be a reason why you don't start.
So we're here to see how Amber Rose turned rejection, robbery, and one viral TikTok into one of the most insane comeback stories you'll hear in business. This is More Than Numbers. Amber, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for having us as well.
Really excited to be here.
Let's get straight into it. For those who don't know, can you explain what Ori Mart is?
So Ori Mart is an Asian convenience store. We specialise in Southeast and East Asian products, and we also have a dine-in model where you can shop and you can eat at the same time.
Oh wow, one-stop shop.
Yeah.
And when did you launch Ori Mart?
So we opened April 2022.
Since you've launched, how much revenue has the Ori Mart generated?
So we've made about 1.5 million since launch.
1.5 million in revenue in just 3 years. That's amazing.
Thank
But
you.
let's go back to the genesis. What inspired you to open up Ori Mart?
So to be fair, like I'm a really big foodie, and my business partner Michael is as well. He has a Vietnamese background, I have a South Asian background, and we would shop at Asian grocery stores all the time during lockdown. We actually met each other during our sales job. We both actually did door-to-door sales for 3 years,
That's
and it
a
taught
tough
us
gig.
a tough gig. It taught us a lot of grit, and we kind of wanted to get out of that when lockdown hit, because door-to-door sales wasn't feasible anymore, and so we were kind of looking for our next venture. So we kind of came up with the concept of opening a supermarket initially to honour his Vietnamese background, because we both love Vietnamese food. Obviously he's from there, but then when we started, we quickly realized the demand for like more Korean products, Japanese products.
Right.
So as I said, like more iterations started to happen. We were first a mini mart, we had bubble tea concession in here, then we became a supermarket, then we expanded, and now we're a convenience store.
How long would you say it took for you to become profitable?
So we were actually profitable quite early into our journey. I would say it took us about 3 months to become profitable.
Oh wow, that's quite big.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big factor as to why that happened so early on is because myself and Michael didn't outsource kind of anything. We were working in the business for like a year and a half straight, 7 days a week, no breaks. And we kept costs really low by kind of coming to a shop in Croydon that was derelict. It was vacant for like 7 years, and we kind of felt like we didn't want to go into a main high street and put in all of our budget into like a fancy shop. We wanted to start off really, really small as much as possible and work our way up and bring customers to our store.
That's really good. So on the location of the store, how did you come about finding this location?
So we were going through tons of different websites online, like Google searches day and night, to try and find shops to let. And eventually we landed on this, but it took a lot of shop viewings. We were looking at shops in like Acton, etc. And really just came down to price. We wanted to just go for the cheapest shop possible.
Tired of sitting on that idea because coding takes too long or costs too much? What if you could turn your next product idea into a business this weekend? Amber made Ori Mart real with hustle and belief. But not every entrepreneur has the time or budget to hire developers, designers, or copywriters just to test an idea. But that's where Hostinger's Horizons comes in. Horizons is your all-in-one AI partner, designer, developer, and copywriter in a single tool. Just type your idea, like a Gen Z concept store selling trending snacks and bubble tea, and watch it build a working mobile-friendly site in seconds. Need to switch the layout, add a new product section, change the copy to match your tone of voice? No code required. Just chat with the AI. In under a minute, you've got something real, not a mock-up, but a live site ready to grow. This isn't just fast, it's smart. You get instant results that are SEO optimized and conversion ready. Hosting, domain, and email all handled in one click. And everything's backed by Hostinger's 20+ years of expertise, supporting over 3.8 million users in over 150+ countries. Whether you're launching your first store or spinning up a new product line, Horizons gives entrepreneurs the powers to move now. So what's the idea you've been sitting on? Launch it today with Hostinger's Horizons and use my code TNG to get 10% off your first month. Is it okay if we head inside and see what's going on?
Yeah, let me show you inside.
After you. Amber Rose, you were on The Apprentice season 19. What made you apply for The Apprentice?
There were a few different reasons. One of them being it was just kind of like a childhood show that I grew up watching, and I would always look at the TV and be like, I really feel like I could do that, I think I could do well. And the next reason being I just felt like it'd be a win-win situation for me and my business. Obviously having that many eyes watching you for so many weeks just helped me and my business too. It helped me further my personal brand, and obviously get people to know more about Orimart and Ori Bubbles too.
How was that application process like?
The application process I feel like people don't talk about, but it's so intense,
right,
and there's so many components to it. It took about 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly, and there was like multiple stages, and you're thrown in rooms and you have to say crazy stuff, and you've got to really force yourself and like push yourself to like be out there and stand out.
Whilst being on the show, was there any challenges or things that you really enjoyed about the show? What was your experience like?
There's so much that happens that people don't see, and just the physicality of it too. Like we were waking up at 2 a.m. in the morning sometimes. We're genuinely getting ready in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, we were doing days where we started at like 5 a.m., finished at like 10. You know, we're in stiletto heels and like full glam all day for us girls, and you know, you're thinking on your feet constantly, you're being filmed constantly, and for me personally, I was in every episode, so the filming time for me was like around 2 to 3 months.
That's crazy.
And you don't have your phone, you don't have access to social media, no internet, you can't speak, you speak to your family very, very limited.
Oh, wow.
So you're put in a very high pressure kind of cooker situation, and in that situation, you also have to make informed decisions. You've also got to play the game, and you've also got to win tasks. So my thing going in was just to make sure that I was always winning, because if I was winning, I was avoiding being in a position where I could be fired. Yeah,
can you walk us through some of the key parts of the shop?
We kind of wanted to bring the concept of like the 7-Eleven grab and go vibe that you get in like Asia to the UK. And so there's kind of 2 parts to our store. It's the grocery element where you can buy things in our store, take it home as you would anywhere else. And then there's the eating element too. So we have our self-service area where we basically provide you with hot water for free and microwaves, and you can pick up different items in our store, and you can actually dine in, and you can pick up noodles, etc. We've got our like famous kind of like viral noodle wall at the back, where we try to stock as many flavors as we possibly can of the most viral noodles on the internet. We've got condiments that you can use for cooking, which are all your staples that you would use in either South, East or East Asian cuisine.
Amber Rose, you mentioned earlier this noodle wall's really gone viral on TikTok. So let's talk TikTok. What was the first video that went viral for you?
First month that we opened our store, we got broken into.
No way.
Yeah, which was obviously like a massive thing for us, because we had just put all of our money into this new shop. We had like barely any customers coming in. There were days we were making £50 a day. And I remember just thinking of the situation with the lens of like, if I film this and show people what's actually happening, I wonder what their reaction will be. So I upload this video saying that, you know, we've been broken into. It's the first ever video that ever hit 1 million views. And it just felt like the community of Croydon all just found us.
Oh wow. And as part of that snowball effect, what sort of opportunities came after that? And was there sort of a dramatic shift in sales? I mean, you said you were spending maybe £50 a day. After that, how was the sales looking like then?
Yeah, so like for the first time ever, as I said, it took us about 3 months to get profitable. So we went very quickly from like not making any money and no one knowing who we were to like loads of people knowing who we were. And so we would get people coming in being like, I've seen you on TikTok. And for me, that was like an unfathomable thing.
Right.
I couldn't believe people were coming to travel just to say hi sometimes, just buy one thing. And in terms of opportunities, I think there's two sides to the coin. Having this store and having so much virality around this store specifically has helped our business grow, like massively. And we wouldn't have, made the money that we've made and be able to turn over 6 figures in the first 6 months of operating had we have not had the virality on TikTok. But I think so the opportunity in terms of business has been great, just for like having eyes on us, customers, etc. We obviously have our e-com as well that did really, really well too. But also in terms of opportunities for me personally, like I've done brand deals aside from our business, and that's come from me just showing my journey as a business owner, and then that transcending into me creating a really strong personal brand where I don't have to take out a penny from Orimart anymore. And that really allows me to just focus on scaling the business and reinvesting everything, because I don't have the pressure of having to pay my rent, having to pay my wages. I don't have to. I want to put everything back into Orimart.
I guess there comes a lot of pressure to upkeep the virality and the content. Do you have a content strategy at the moment, or is it just post what you feel like?
With Orimart specifically, we post 21 times a week on TikTok and Instagram, so that's 3 times a day. I can't do that whilst running 2 businesses and my own personal kind of socials too. So we have a social media manager who helps us do that, and we'll strategize on the types of kind of content that we want out. Some of our videos on Orimart's page in the last kind of few months this year have got like 20 million views, etc. So a lot of our content is around kind of being founder focused and telling our story, day in the lives, etc. That's either done kind of through my personal social media or our business page. And then a lot of it is product focused, because we know that people want to see how to use certain things in the store, how to eat certain things. And obviously a lot of it is kind of, we want to provoke a reaction too. That's what causes virality. And so, I'm not going to lie.
What piece of advice would you give around sort of founders' personal brand? And because you mentioned you make a lot from sort of your personal brand and those adverts. So is it advisable for someone to rely on their personal brand, or is it more beneficial to focus on actually building out the store?
I think it's a really difficult one, because when your business is so founder focused and you're kind of the face of the brand, you then also open yourself up to a lot of negativity and a lot of trolling online, and you're held to higher regards in terms of you will be scrutinized more than the average person that might own the exact same business as you, because people are now watching you. And so it is a lot of pressure in that sense. And then that pressure kind of piles on top of the pressure of the everyday runnings of your business too. And so I think it's about really kind of weighing up the kind of doing a bit of a risk assessment to see whether you'd fare well mentally, kind of doing that. And that's my completely honest kind of opinion and view. But I'd always encourage business owners to leverage social media. I don't think that you have to be the face of the brand specifically. And I think that there is a balance that you need to strike. Like, most of our content on Orimart's page is not centered around me at all. But there was a time when, if we needed customers on the door, I would have to post a day in the life. But if it goes too much in one direction, it is risky. Okay,
so I see some of the viral products around us. Let's walk around and talk about some of the stuff that you got on the shelves.
Okay, should we start with the noodle war?
For sure.
So these bulldog noodles here are like our most popular selling noodles. If we had nothing in our store, we would have these. They're going to sell every single time. And there was a point where these pink packet of noodles, specifically these carbonara flavored noodles, were trending so much, and the manufacturers couldn't keep up with the demand. So they weren't coming into the UK, and myself and Michael were going to great lengths just to get them in the store, and they were so expensive, and we were like, getting stock at midnight is all I'm going to say. Okay, so this is our drinks fridge. We've got an array of different drinks.
So many different flavors.
All over Asia.
What is the process of getting these drinks or these products into the store physically?
So we work with around 20 to 40 different suppliers, and we really believe that you shouldn't stick to one supplier, because one supplier might have great pricing for drinks but not for noodles. And so you have to do a lot of research and make sure that you're always on top of new suppliers that are coming to market.
Yeah.
They're going to offer different offerings, and it's a constant game of being on the laptop, Google searching, being on the phone, and making those relationships is really, really important. And in the beginning, if you're not able to have high kind of order quantities and put that money up out front,
Yeah.
they're not going to want to work with you either. So knowing how much your minimum order quantities are, how much you're willing to spend is important. Having a big roster of suppliers is really, really important. And product testing is also really important too. I think that an old school kind of method of owning a retail store is like, let's get 3,000 products in, as much variety as possible, but then those things are sitting on the shelves. A lot of the times we can't keep things on our shelves, and that's where we want to be. If I'm going to be spending £10,000 on stock, I want to be prioritizing stock that actually is going to sell versus having loads of different varieties of things. Variety is important, but there's a balance. I think that you should prioritize things that are going to sell.
Ambrose, let's talk numbers. How much revenue did Ori Mart generate in year 1 versus now?
So in year 1 we did around 360k, and now we're doing double that.
Wow. And on average, how much sales would you say the shop makes in 1 week?
So on average, I'd say we kind of go between 6,000 to 12,000 a week.
And what would you say in a single day has been the most you've made in the store?
I'd probably say in a single day, the most we made was roughly around 7,000.
Oh, wow, that's really good. And so what are the typical profit margins for a store like yours?
Our profit margins are around 30%. And in terms of where we generate the most revenue would definitely be through the sales of our noodles.
So the noodles are the most popular and the most revenue generating.
Yeah, they
That's
are.
amazing. And in running a convenience store like this, what would you say is the most biggest cost in keeping a store alive?
So hands down, the biggest cost that we have is going to be our stock, anywhere from 20k to 50k a month. And then the next cost I'd probably say would be staff.
Yeah.
And then rent in comparison to that's actually pretty cheap. We're looking at around 3-4k. Staff we're looking at around 15k.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stock.
When you first started, you mentioned you did a lot of things yourself. At what point did you decide to hire someone?
So in the beginning, we wanted to keep costs as low as possible and try and like build up money back into the business so that we could reinvest it. And honestly, the shop was really, really busy, but it was small, so it was manageable with just myself and Michael. So we both worked and paid ourselves the minimum of minimum wage that
So
you
it was
could
just
possibly
two
think
of you
of.
in this whole store?
2 of us in the whole store.
That's crazy.
7 days a week, and
Wow.
so we would do a day shift and then we would do a night shift as well. But then it came to a point where we felt like if we didn't get staff in, we'd be hindering our growth, which we didn't want to do. So I'm gonna say around the 1.5 year mark.
You did it all by yourself
Yes,
for a year and a half?
we did.
That is
Around that
crazy.
time is actually when we got our first employee in, and now we've got a team of around 5 people.
Amazing. Earlier you mentioned Ori Bubbles, which that's your second business, right? And it's not too far from here.
No, it's not. It's about 20 minutes away from here.
Can we go check it out?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. So Amber Rose doesn't just have one but 2 businesses, and we're still in Croydon and we are at Ori Bubble. It's your second business?
Yeah.
What inspired you to start this?
So when we first opened Ori Mart, we had a small little bubble tea concession within our store. It did really well and we had great customer feedback. But when we decided to transition to our convenience store model, we just felt like having both the bubble tea and the groceries was just a little bit too much at the same time.
Yeah.
So in order to keep the quality, but then kind of expand, we decided that we would open a separate bubble tea shop.
And here we are. Let's go inside and check it out.
Yeah.
Ladies first.
Two completely different vibes we wanted to go for.
When did you decide to launch this?
A while ago, actually, when I went onto the show and pitched this business idea, I always had the plan to open the bubble tea shop regardless of what the result would have been.
And so talk to me through the first steps of actually opening up a bubble tea shop.
So obviously the first steps for us was securing a premises. We knew that we wanted to be in Croydon this time, so that was easier in terms of the search radius. And in terms of the actual shop to let, again, was pretty simple. I think we learned a lot from our previous experience of opening a shop. When we first did it, we were completely in the dark, versus now we know what we're looking for. Learning from the fact that we didn't really want a freeholder, we wanted to go to the landlord directly, what our budget would be, what type of size we were looking for, and of course with a bubble tea shop specifically, in terms of licensing, it wasn't too complicated as well. So we wanted a shop front again that had easy access to on-road parking for both customers and for stock deliveries as well, because bubble tea stock is really, really heavy. So a lot of factors like that came into play when opening the shop, and then we already had built those really great supplier relationships, so we knew exactly who to go to, and we had our discounts in place, etc., with our suppliers before opening, so then it was just a matter of doing.
And you mentioned earlier, as part of opening the shop, it was sort of a statement to prove to Lord Sugar that I can, and you have opened up bubble tea shop. Why do you think at the time he wasn't invested into the business?
Quite frankly, he didn't know what bubble tea was.
No way. I'm not surprised though.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that when you're going into a business partnership, it's really important that both parties are bought into the product that you're selling. So it kind of came to a point in the process where I realized I didn't really know what it was, and I didn't want to sell myself short either. And as I said, I had plans to go ahead and open it anyway, so I then just used that as a leverage point in terms of marketing, because I could kind of see how much we could do with the fact that we didn't get the investment versus get it. I'm going to scream about it on social media, and that created like a massive buzz, and that's why when we first opened we had like insane queues around the block, and we had people waiting for like 5 hours all day.
Whilst this is an extension of Ori Mart, how does the profit margins differ from the convenience store?
I think this definitely gives us a lot more scope in terms of margins, because where we're making the recipes, we can actively seek out ingredients that are a bit more cost effective, and we can keep costs lower, and obviously we're the people that are creating the price and going to market with that price, versus with Ori Mart, if a certain packet of noodles is selling for £1.50 in most stores, we can't go in and sell that for £2.50. So it's a lot more stricter in terms of the scope. So here we have a little bit more leeway.
Can you break down the cost to launch a bubble tea shop?
So this cost us about, I want to say like £30,000 to launch, and it took us about a month really to get the whole shop fitted out and going.
So you've gone from opening a convenience store to a bubble tea store. What would you say has been the biggest risk in both of those journeys?
I think something people don't realise is that when it comes to like having a commercial property, is that the leases are so much longer than it would be for just a residential property. So for this shop, we've signed a 15-year lease.
15 years?
Yeah, and that's what we kind of did for Ori Mart as well. That's the way that obviously you get the best deal possible in terms of rent, and so those are probably the biggest risks, because if we ever want to close the store or move locations, we obviously take on the risk of having to sublet it, etc. So those are probably the biggest risks we've taken.
And in your journey so far, has there been any point where you thought things just might not work out?
There's been countless times. Like, I'm not the type of business person, entrepreneur that will try and glamorize this, especially because I own physical businesses. It's been so challenging from every angle, like physically, mentally, and there's been so many times where I felt like I can't keep pushing on, or the workload is too heavy, etc. But I always just believe that if you don't give up, you won't fail. And you know, who knows where this will go in the future, who knows how many businesses I'll own. I think you just have to start, and you have to keep pushing forward, and you have to keep being your own biggest cheerleader, and you have to be delusional. I genuinely believe that. Like when we were making £50 a day, we could have never foreseen that like I would go on to be on The Apprentice. We would have expanded our store within a year and a half. We would have turned over 7 figures. It was unfathomable. You have to have a lot of foresight and like a lot of long-term thinking, and you obviously need to be well prepared, and you need to have those kind of entrepreneurial skills, and you need to just get your hands dirty. I've never shied away from hard work, and I think that learning the business from the inside out has really helped push it forward for us.
Definitely. So both businesses you've started up are quite considered cool and modern. What piece of advice would you give to someone in this day and age who wants to build up something along the lines of bubble tea and the convenience store?
Every single business is saturated. And if you're gonna want to start a business and your family says, well, there's other stores that exist, of course there are. Every business is done, so don't let that be a reason why you don't start. Don't let perfection get in the way of you starting. As you can see, like we've started from like the bare kind of bones and bricks, And sometimes getting started is better than not. And I do just believe authenticity is really, really important. And we've had so many people copy our, content. There's now so many more Asian convenience stores after we opened ours. But imitation is the biggest form of flattery, and it just means that you're doing something right. But your ideas come from you. So I think always just be ahead of the game in terms of how you're viewing your content and your business strategy. And always try and create some type of USP towards your brand if you can. It doesn't mean you need to rewrite the wheel, and as I said, like, everything is saturated, so if you do just want to sell bin bags, sell them. I'm sure you can find a way. But then have a great TikTok strategy in order to sell them. And maybe you have to speak about like how your mum used to sell bin bags to you when you were 2, and that's why you want to sell them. Do you know what I mean? It's all in how you package something, I think.
Well, that's amazing. Today's been amazing. I mean, you've taken us from a convenience store, which was a whole new world for me because I'd never really been to like an Asian convenience store before, and then now we're at Bubble Tea, and both businesses seem to be doing really great.
Thank you.
And you've got big plans in the future as well, so I'm right behind you and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, appreciate it. It's been great.
And there you have it, guys. It's been More Than Numbers. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe. See you soon.